What is going on, Tallahassee? It is Monday, March 9th, and this is FSU Weather. I'm meteorologist Jay Karstens.
And I'm student meteorologist Sloan Haynes. It has been the Mondayest Monday ever with daylight savings occurring yesterday. Really having to catch up on that sleep this morning after yesterday threw me a curveball.
Yeah, the deeper I've gone into this whole grad school thing myself, the more of an early bird I've become. And this morning, waking up at like 7 and having to be completely dark outside, a little bit of a rude awakening, so to speak.
Just a bit. But the weather.
There you go. Good transition. It is a fantastic day out there. Maybe a little bit on the breezy side if you've been stepping outside at any point. So if you're doing any of that outdoor midterm studying, perhaps the paper's blowing around just a little bit, but otherwise couldn't ask for a better day. Am I right?
Exactly. It might have been a ponytail day for the girls out there, or even Lorenz with his long hair. But it has been gorgeous outside. A little muggy, but I'm not going to complain. It's in the 70s in March. Oh my gosh, February. See, daylight savings threw me for a curveball.
I'm still writing 2019 on my assignments, so you're good. But, you know, the last 3 or 4 weeks have been kind of in this pattern where it's like Monday, Tuesday getting progressively warmer, a little bit cloudier. Wednesday, Thursday, the weather starts to take a bit of a turn, for the worse, and then really sets up for the cool down. Not exactly the case this week.
No, we're going to get hot this weekend. 80s. That is warm, especially for March here.
Yeah, the last couple of years in February, we had that little ridging pattern that would settle in. We'd get those low 80s string of days. That didn't really happen this time around. We're making up for the lost time this month. We'll have that full 7-day for you later on in tonight's show, but it's definitely different.
It's beautiful outside. I'm really not going to complain about it, but we're going to send things off to the wall with Jessica to give us a look at the overview.
Thank you, Sloan. Yeah, just like they were saying, Eastern Daylight Time has given us this wonderful view of the sun hanging right over Doak Campbell Stadium. Unfortunately, we did lose that sleep, but now it's going to be brighter later in the day, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. Now, currently outside, we're at 73 degrees. It's a little breezy, just like Sloan was saying, with winds coming out of the south-southwest at 9 miles per hour, and those clouds are starting to roll in. If you were outside today, you saw the sky begin to seem a little bit more crowded as those clouds started to fill the area. Now, Tallahassee is covered with clouds, as much of the Big Bend region is as well, but there's no rain in the area for now, and we're going to get into the possibility of rain later in the show with that frontal system that's going to be pushing through the majority of the southeast. The good news is right now it's looking like it's going to stay north of us, and just like I said, we're going to get into those details later. As for our forecast for the next 3 days, Tuesday and Wednesday in the high 70s. Thursday, we're looking at temperatures hitting the low 80s. It's going to feel warm, guys. It's going to feel warm. For now, I'm going to pass things off to Michael. He's going to give us a look at the southeast.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. And the southeast, a nice weekend was happening for that daylight savings. Now it's a little bit more cloudy across the portion of the southeast. You can see 67 up towards Atlanta, 73 in Montgomery, and we do have some rain in Little Rock at 60 degrees right now. The moisture is increasing. You'll notice that there actually is a frontal boundary back towards Texas, and that frontal boundary is slowly moving through the southeast. Still have some drier dew points out towards the eastern sections with 43 in Atlanta and 48 in Tallahassee, and a little bit more humid down towards central and south Florida. The wind direction has shifted over the course of the weekend and into today. We had that northerly wind over the weekend that now shifted into an easterly wind down towards South Florida and a southerly wind for basically everyone else. And so that's bringing the moisture values you saw back towards the Mississippi River Valley ahead of that frontal system. Now, for today's storm outlook, we do have a marginal risk for some severe storms ahead of that front, but that's out towards Missouri and Oklahoma. Most of the southeast should be fine for today. A little bit of changes as we go into tomorrow. Again, all of this is due to this frontal system, but not really much activity at the front. A lot of it is ahead of the front, well ahead of the front, with some just showery activity out towards Memphis, Little Rock, and Shreveport. Now, for our drought monitor, we do need the rain down towards Apalachicola, Carabel, and St. Mark's. They've really avoided a lot of the rain this year. A lot of it has stayed well up to the north in the North Alabama, North Georgia, where they've seen a lot of rain. A lot of the surpluses are more than a foot for this time of the year. But down towards Florida, they've really missed out on it, and that's really going to continue for this week. We're not expecting much rain as a ridge will build into the Gulf and keep a lot of those storm systems up towards the north. Now you're thinking, okay, this front will get to us. It's going to stall in central Georgia. Not the case this week. What's happening with this front, a lot of the energy is going to stay well up towards the north, And so what that does to the southern portion of this front is really weaken it, and you watch as we go through the course of Tuesday that shower activity associated with the front really dies out, and you don't really see much of it by the time we get to the evening hours on your Tuesday. A lot of very scattered showers, and a lot of the shower activity is going to stay in the interior section of the southeast and not really affect Florida. So for tonight's forecast, very warm ahead of that front, with a lot of us in the mid 50s to around 60 degrees, with the cooler conditions up towards northwest Arkansas. And then for tomorrow, with the cloud cover, a little bit cooler out towards the Tennessee River Valley and the southern Appalachians. But ahead of it, especially down towards Florida, really warm and nice conditions for March, with temperatures in the upper 70s to the low 80s. Now we're going to send it off to Chris with a look at our first local.
Thank you, Michael. Right now, going to take a look at current conditions. If it was around this time last week, we would have seen a sunset, but because of daylight savings time, the sun is still high in the sky right now. Right now, it's 73 degrees, mostly cloudy, winds coming from the south-southwest at 9 miles an hour. Getting a look at our temperatures right now, we're sitting very cool, comfortable in the mid to lower 70s. 73 in Tallahassee, 75 in St. Mark's, and 71 degrees in Donaldsonville. Right now, our satellite radar, Michael did a great job of pointing out how this front right here, it looks like it's going to be bringing a lot of rain to our area. However, this front is going to start breaking down in this, at least the southern section. So while it may look like we're going to get a lot of rain, it's going to be breaking down before it really starts to impact the Tallahassee area. As we're going to take a closer look at our satellite and radar, it's mostly just some upper level clouds going on right here. Nothing, there's a little bit of ground scatter out of Tallahassee. It's been a pretty beautiful day. If there's been rain, that's really unfortunate for you because it's been a pretty beautiful day everywhere else. Just a little bit of some upper stratus clouds in the area. Going into our drought monitor though, we really do need some of the rain down in south of Tallahassee up by the coast. It's moderately dry in even some areas, and a severe drought right now as most of the rain fell into the northern part of the southeast. And while there was a lot of rain there, it just didn't happen to reach the way down south. Over the next 24 hours, you're going to see some more cloud cover start coming in, as well as you can see the front start going in and starting to break out, maybe leaving a scattered shower or two up north by Bainbridge and Quincy. However, for the most part, it's just going to be cloud cover for our local area. Tonight's forecast is going to be sitting very comfortable in the upper to mid 70s, 59 degrees in St. Mark's, 57 degrees Tallahassee. It's going to be around the 60s by the coast in Carabel and Apalachicola. It's going to be a very nice night to go around and just honestly very comfortable day to go walking, maybe go out if you don't have any midterms. Tomorrow's forecast, it's going to be a great day to be studying for midterms outside if you still have midterms left in the week. 77 degrees in Tallahassee. It's going to be cooler by the coast with 69 degrees in St. Mark's. It's going to cool all the way down to 73 degrees in Thomasville. Going into the week ahead, it's really a fantastic week. We also get an early look at a beautiful spring break. It's going to be 77 degrees tomorrow. It's going to warm all the way up to Thursday. We're going to start seeing the 80s. And Saturday and Sunday, first 2 days of spring break, excellent beach conditions. It's going to be 84 degrees. Really beautiful weekend ahead. But for now, I'm going to pass things off to the desk with Michael and Jesse.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And that forecast for spring break next week looks perfect. And so we're going to talk about it even more.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to admit, I don't remember last year's spring break weather too well, at least the weekend leading up. But I do remember that I spent it in Orlando in Disney World, and it was a little cloudy. But this year, it's looking to be pretty warm, at least in Florida.
Oh yeah, this year's looking great. A lot of the state's going to be in the 80s, unless you're along the immediate coastline. Especially, I'm heading out to Jacksonville this weekend for the players. And the immediate coastline with that Atlantic sea breeze, it's going to be a little bit cooler in the 70s, but much better than last year. I remember last year, the first 2 days, it was in the 80s. And then that front came through on Friday, and the weekend was upper 50s, cloudy, rainy. And if you watch the show a lot, you know I call that weather raw. It was raw. It sucked.
The good news is that this year spring break looks like it's going to be great, like I said, especially for those in Florida. Yeah. I'm going back to Tampa, and we're expecting to have those temperatures even warmer than those here in Tallahassee. I know by the end of the week we're going to break 80 here, but I know in Tampa we're going to be in the 80s all week.
Yeah, and it's been a while since we've had an extended period of this warm weather. Usually we just have this like 1 or 2 days ahead of our frontal system, and that crashes our temperatures down back toward the 60s. At least now we're finally getting an extended period.
Honestly, and it's perfect timing with spring break right around the corner. I know I'm looking forward to it as I'm almost done with midterms. We just got 4 days left until spring break, and then we'll have at least that 7 to 10 day break before we come back and hit it all again.
Thank God. It looks like the weather is kind of correlating to the good spring break this year, so that's nice. But for now, we're going to send it out towards the wall for a national with Salome.
Thank you so much, Michael. We're taking a look at our high from yesterday in San Manuel, Texas. 85 degrees, warm, and we're going to even see that temperature here even this weekend, so it's going to heat up in the Big Bend. And Langdon, North Dakota, this morning low was 1 degree. That is much warmer than last Monday's low, as it was in the mountains, and it was in the negative 30s, I believe. That is below freezing, very cold. Temperature-wise, across the nation, 55 in Salt Lake City, 75 in Phoenix, and 62 in San Francisco. We see that the sun is out. There's still some clouds in the area, but as we look towards the Midwest, we're going to start to see those rain clouds start to pop up due to a front moving through the area, as Michael hinted at won't really reach us yet, and Chris also said it too. 74 in Dallas, and then 73 down here in Tallahassee, and even 70 in Boston. Boston rather, is almost as warm as us. But we can see where that front has passed through, causing much of the nation to dry out behind it. 18 in Albuquerque, 24 in Billings, 25 in Minneapolis, but then that Gulf moisture, 63 in San Antonio, 59 in New Orleans, and then Miami down there at 57 degrees. Here's the front that we've been talking about. It's going to start to move across the southeast, but it's really going to break apart before it reaches us. So maybe just a shower or a storm once it passes through the Big Bend. But the clouds are going to clear out behind it too, causing the end of the week to be beautiful here. Here is the storm we've been talking about in the Texas area. There has been some lightning associated with it earlier, and there still is now if you see it popping up. So again, when thunder roars, go indoors. And as we move up towards the Great Lake areas, we see that low pressure system, that counterclockwise turn with it, and then some even mixed precipitation a little further north of Nebraska. So there still is snow occurring around the nation, even though it feels a little warmer outside. And here's the storm outlook for them today. We do see portions are in that marginal risk for severe weather, and there's a storm outlook as the front moves across the region. So if we look at tomorrow, we see much of the southeast and even into the mid-Atlantic states is under a thunderstorm risk, while parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, and other Midwest states are under that marginal risk. So strong severe storms are possible, but they're not going to be as widespread. And even Wednesday, as it continues to move through, we're going to have that thunderstorm chance across the southeast again. The Big Bend isn't in it, luckily for us here, no thunderstorms hopefully, but there is going to be another marginal risk for severe weather. For the next 24 hours, if I step over here, we're going to see the front begin to move across, really breaking apart from where it started. So this rain chances will pick up for portions of the southeast, but by the time it's across Atlanta, or rather by Atlanta, it's going to be broken apart. Some scattered showers are possible. So for us in the Big Bend, though, nothing to worry about. Looking at tonight, 30 in Billings, 34 in Seattle, 51 in San Francisco. The clouds are the theme. And then 64 in New Orleans. And then Memphis does have a risk for a thunderstorm tonight as the front moves through. And for tomorrow, 80 in San Antonio, 76 in Dallas, 56 in Kansas City, 47 in Bismarck, and then 65 in Boston. Still warm for them this time of year. But I'm going to pass things off to Jake, who's going to tell us what's happening in the Big Bend.
Thanks, Sloan. And well, we'll start off with what the obvious details were for the day, and that is that it, in fact, did not rain. You can see that here in our rainfall almanac, a whopping 0.00 inches of rain. We're at a slight deficit for the month so far, and once again, about 3.5 inches below where we're supposed to be for the year here. So that drought situation, especially off to our south towards the coast in Wakulla and Jefferson counties, is going to be continuing, and that won't be changing anytime soon, as we'll see in that 7-day forecast later on in this segment. But as of now, we're at 73 degrees, just past 6 o'clock here. We'll start to see those temperatures cooling down just a little bit over the next couple of hours as that sun begins to gradually set. Mostly cloudy skies over Doak Campbell Stadium with our live weather stem camera. And a south-southwesterly wind that has actually calmed down a little bit. We've had gusts in excess of 25 miles per hour earlier in the day that has since subsided to about 9 or so. But for those temperatures, we're largely seeing things in those lower to middle 70s. Very comfortable day across the entire Big Bend region. And those dew points also confirm that. We're seeing those values more in those upper 40s, lower 50s, 51 in Perry, 50 in Valdosta, for example. Some pretty comfortable air, even with this ridging sort of prefrontal pattern that we've been seeing around the region starting to build its way in. And we see that with the satellite and radar right here, well off to our west, this big shield of rain that many others have already been alluding to on this show. That's not really going to be a big issue for us over the next couple of days, as that frontal system will not exactly rear its ugly head into our region, a bit unlike what we've been seeing in the past couple of weeks or so. Over the next 48 hours, we will begin to see just a little bit more cloud cover in the region. You couldn't really rule out the possibility of a shower to our north and west in some of our southeastern Alabama counties, even into the day on Wednesday. But again, partly to mostly cloudy skies should be sticking around for our area, with those temperatures gradually warming over the next 48 hours or so and even into the weekend. But for Tuesday, looking at a temperature of about 69 degrees out on the water, winds out of the southeast at 10 knots, so a bit breezy out there. Could be just a bit choppy on the waters, but no advisory territory or anything. So in reality, just a fantastic day to get out on the water. And as we go into the week ahead, that is just going to be continuing in a big, big way. We see Tuesday, again, that high of 77 degrees in some of our more inland zones. You saw that 69 on the water. It's going to be a little bit warmer as you go even towards Georgia, where some of those counties could be getting closer to 80 degrees out ahead of that front. And as that begins to slowly inch its way towards our region and that ridging builds to our east, those temperatures are just going to be climbing even more. We see it really in those highs. 82 degrees is going to be that afternoon high on Thursday. Partly to mostly cloudy skies sticking around, and that sets up for what's going to be really our warmest weekend of the year so far. We're looking at both Saturday and Sunday as spring break begins, with temperatures in the middle 80s for those afternoon highs. Not really looking at any chance of rain over the next 7, which of course we could use some of the rainfall, so we'll hope that we can see that building into our region again in more of the long-term future. But for now, let's go to the desk with Chris and Michael.
Thank you, Jake. And we saw in that 7 days shaping to be a very warm week coming up.
Very nice weekend, yes.
But on the opposite, this day in weather history, we have some very cold news to bring you.
Yeah, we go to tropical Puerto Rico, and you think, oh, it is pretty nice and warm in March, not in 1911. It got down to 40 degrees, and that's the coldest temperature ever recorded in Puerto Rico in Hibonito, if I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, Habanito.
Habanito.
Sorry,
okay.
My handwriting was not the greatest there. But yeah, Habanito, yeah. The tropical climate, typically they don't get too cold down there. The maritime is keeping them fairly warm, but 40 degrees down there is very cold. And what's even shockingly more cold is back in 1956, there was a whopping 367 inches of snow that was measured on the ground in Rainier Paradise Ranger Station in Washington State.
Yeah, and those higher elevations in the west can get a lot of snow. That's the highest snow depth in the history of the state and the U.S. Yeah. So amazing snow depth out there in Washington back in 1956.
That's a lot of snow. It's too much snow.
Yeah. I think a lot of us like snow, but I don't want to be buried in snow and die.
Well, anything more than 3 feet of snow is too much snow for me. I'm from Northern Virginia, so I have a much higher snow tolerance than many of the people down here. Floyd, Sloan has a higher snow tolerance, and
I have some snow tolerance from being in New Jersey, so it works.
And then Zach Richards also has a higher snow tolerance, but other than that, I think I have the third highest. But for now, we're going to actually send things back to the wall with Jake.
Yeah, we're going to go to Florida, and a lot of people are wondering what the weather is like in Ponte Vedra. So, Jake, do you have the answer for us?
Well, I don't have any more snow talk, unfortunately, because this is, in fact, the state of Florida. Not 367 inches of snow, but as we look across the Sunshine State, it is looking like a fantastic day. Not just Tallahassee, but even the Florida Peninsula getting in on some of that sunshine. 74 degrees in Orlando, 77 in Tampa, just a little bit warmer down the Gulf side and even down towards South Florida, but still pretty comfortable for what they expect this time of year. Temperatures staying in the 70s this time of day is just fantastic for those people in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, West Palm, etc. And those dew points are sticking in that range as well. High 50s is, again, very comfortable for what you'd expect in South Florida, even as we're still in the tail end of the astronomical winter season. 57-degree dew point in West Palm, 57 in Miami as well, and even a little bit drier as we haven't quite gotten into that frontal sector of moisture yet up towards the Big Bend, a little bit in the western panhandle. But we see those winds very strongly out of the east here as we're starting to see that high pressure building over the western Atlantic Ocean, so driving that clockwise flow around. It's 17-mile-per-hour easterly wind in Orlando, 14 in Gainesville. That strength is really sticking through the entire Florida peninsula. And it's actually kind of textbook when you have that southwesterly flow out ahead of the front and the easterlies well out ahead. You get that convergence in that region off to our north and west, and that's where you see that big shield of rainfall. But again, just like in Tallahassee, we're not going to be seeing that being a factor for much of the Florida peninsula or even the panhandle as we work through the next couple of days. So just a couple of very light showers working in off of that breeze from east to west out of the Atlantic Ocean. So over the next 24 hours, we're pretty much going to be seeing the same trends there, so it's looking pretty good. Maybe see a couple showers, especially along the Atlantic Ocean here as we work through the day on Tuesday, but temperature is going to be fairly comfortable once again, getting towards about the 80-degree point. And as for tonight, southeastern Florida is going to be a little bit warm and muggy down there at 71 in Miami, but otherwise very comfortable for much of the state of Florida. For tomorrow, we see that high of 84 in Fort Myers being the hot spot, but as you go further to the north and west, once again, pretty comfortable in seasonal temperatures, largely in those middle 70s, give or take. Now let's zoom into some of the cities here, show you the 3-day forecast. We'll start down south in Miami. Very comfortable for this time of year. A fantastic day to get out on the water if that is what you choose to do. Thursday at 77 degrees, partly cloudy skies, what we're going to be looking at down in the 305. In Orlando, a little bit warmer actually. You believe Miami is actually cooler than most of the other places in the state. 83 for the high on Thursday, 82 Wednesday. Partly mostly cloudy skies sticking around there. Melbourne, just about the same story. A little bit closer to the coast, so you're seeing those temperatures during the day just a little bit cooler. 77, 78, and 79 appropriately. Over in Duval, we see the temperatures climbing steadily up into those lower 80s. For Wednesday and Thursday, you see partly cloudy skies sticking around there. And Pensacola, well, just a slightest little rain chance for tomorrow with a high of 71 degrees. Thursday warming up just gradually at about 75 right there along the Emerald Coast. Now let's finish things up with our final local forecast with Jesse.
Thank you so much, Jake. Here's that last shot over Doak Campbell Stadium where the sun is still peeking through the clouds just a little bit. Currently still 73 degrees outside, mostly cloudy. If you look outside up at the sky, you're going to see those clouds. Not a lot of the sun, but it should be a really nice sunset tonight, and it's not going to happen for a little bit, so you still got time to get outside and watch that. Temperatures all around the Big Bend regions are in the mid to low 70s. We got that 75 down in St. Mark's and also that 72 in Quincy. Up in Donaldsonville, we got 71 degrees. Wind speed, we have that flow coming up from the Gulf, that 5 miles per hour in St. Mark's. Tallahassee's still a little breezy at 9 miles per hour. And further north, they're experiencing even more wind, 12 miles per hour in Donaldsonville. And that breeze is going to continue as we're going throughout the week. Dew points in the Big Bend region are not too bad. We got that 48 in Tallahassee, 51 a little bit further south in St. Mark's. It feels a little bit icky outside, but it's really not as bad as it could be considering that the temperatures are warmer than what we've been experiencing over the last couple weeks. Now, here's that rain system that we keep on mentioning. It's going to continue to push into the southeast, and although we see this big band of rain that looks like it's going to threaten our area, it is going to continue to stay north of us, and we're expecting it to affect areas in Alabama and even Tennessee. And right now that rain's hanging over most of Louisiana and Arkansas. It's going to continue to push towards the southeast. I'm kind of glad it's not going to rain again for the third or fourth week in a row. We are going to have that cloud cover hanging around though as that system does move towards us. There's that rain up to the north. Very, very scattered showers, but as you can see, Tallahassee Tallahassee is supposed to remain dry even tomorrow night as we're approaching 7 o'clock on your Tuesday evening. As for tonight, we're going to see temperatures dip down below 60, so might want to keep that light jacket on you, and those clouds are going to hang around as well. That wind's going to keep up, but it's not going to be too bad. Once again, just might want to keep that light jacket around if you have any plans. Tomorrow is going to be a lot like today. We're seeing a high of 76, and those clouds are going to stick around, and once again, still got that breeze coming in from the south-southwest. It's going to be a beautiful day to study outside or really just do anything that's not indoors. Definitely enjoy this weather as we're heading towards the weekend. As we're looking towards the end of the week, those clouds are going to stick around, but can't complain as we're not supposed to have any of that rain. We're going to peak up above 80 on Thursday, hitting 82, and our lows are going to stay so comfortable in the 50s and even a low of 61 heading into this weekend. I know I'm not going to be here as most of us are leaving for spring break, but if you are in the Tallahassee region, it's going to be extremely warm in the mid-80s, but I am glad to say that those clouds are going to be hanging around, so it's not going to feel quite so hot. Now, we got a little surprise for you guys as we're closing off the show. We got a little game show planned, so I'm actually going to call Jake and Michael back up on the screen, and we are going to play a little game called Highs and Lows.
All right, first time contestant. Can't wait.
I'm sure you guys are both excited. You've played before, right, Michael?
No, this is my first time
this is your first
playing.
time.
I hosted it.
Okay, well, it's going to be an exciting night. So we're going to start out with Jake. We're going to start with Connecticut, and I'm going to ask for the high.
Okay.
Highest temperature ever recorded in Connecticut.
Okay, I'm going to say 107 degrees.
107, Michael?
I'm gonna go 105.
All right, it was 106, so I guess technically
Tiebreaker?
that's a tie. I guess we can make the low the tiebreaker if you'd like. So I'll let Michael start out. What's the low in Connecticut? Lowest temperature ever
Low
recorded.
in Connecticut. I'm gonna go negative 38.
Negative 38?
I'll go minus 34.
All right, it was negative 37, so Michael actually got you on that one. That was actually recorded in 1943. Okay, so our next state is another one up in the Northeast. We see a little trend going on here, and it's going to be Delaware. So would you like to tell me the high, Jake?
Okay, so Chris earlier in the show said Virginia's all-time max was 110.
Uh-oh.
So I'm gonna go 106.
106?
Oh, coastal.
Michael?
I'm gonna go 112.
112. It's actually 110. So
Oh,
it was
man.
just exactly what Chris said, and I think you were closer. 112.
Yeah,
And
what am I
then what about the
doing today?
low in Delaware? We're going to let Michael start with that one.
The low in Delaware. I'm gonna go. Let's see. I'm gonna go negative 28.
Negative 28.
All right. Let's see here. I'm gonna say negative 25.
All right, it was negative 17. So
Okay.
you're closer. What's the score? What's the scoreboard? You
That's
got two
like
and you
two-
got one?
2-1. But
2-1?
my win was much less impressive.
Okay,
So 2-1
okay,
and the
that's fair, that's fair.
tiebreaker.
All right, we have one more
right.
state left, so we're going with Iowa this time. And how about Michael starts off with a high for Iowa?
The
Highest
high
temperature.
for Iowa. I'm gonna go 125.
125, okay.
That is aggressive.
Okay.
Okay. So Illinois native here who has actually experienced 100-degree heat. So I know it gets hot there. I'm gonna say a little bit less aggressive. 114.
Okay, so 114, what'd you say?
125.
125, it was 118.
All right,
So I
cool.
think you're closer.
Another win for me
Yeah, another
narrowly.
win for Jake.
Okay.
So wait, I think we're tied up.
2-2.
2-2.
This is
So
it.
this
The
is
low
the
is the
tiebreaker.
tiebreaker.
So the low is the tiebreaker. So
think
Jake,
it's me first,
Jake
right?
gets to start with the low, and so the lowest temperature ever recorded in
In
Iowa.
the state of Iowa, I'm gonna say minus 31.
Minus 31. What about you, Michael?
I'm gonna go minus 39.
Minus 39. All right. Well,
Don't be 35,
the
don't be
low
35.
is minus 47.
All right, Michael gets the
Okay.
It's a
win.
lot lower, so
beat
I
the
think
Twitter
we see
master.
that
Okay.
Michael is going to win tonight, and that was recorded in 1996.
Oh wow, my
very
birth
nice.
year.
Very interesting. Oh,
I know.
how about
I'm
that?
the old one here. I know.
Yeah.
Also, Jake is also the stat man here at FSU, so
I've been
would get-
dethroned.
I
I do. This is my second show all semester anyway, so it's fine. He
All
gets
right.
it.
Well, with that, we're going to close out the show. I'm student meteorologist Jessica Kirk.
I'm meteorologist Jay Carstens.
I'm student meteorologist Michael Lyon. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right.